All right. So this morning, boundaries. Great little meditation we had about boundaries. I can literally see it happening as I was speaking. So thank you for sharing in that moment. For those of you guys that are here live with us on Zoom, if you are not live with us on Zoom and you are live on any of my social media, you can go to alexlovely.com and register and join to join my Zoom. Okay, you can register and join and be on Zoom. I will pin the comment. All right, so we're going to talk about boundaries this morning, the nature of boundaries, okay, the origins of boundaries, where it came from, and some of the dual nature, the dual aspects, because we are here in this physical world, and anytime we are living in the physical world, our mind can't help it but have dual thoughts. And we'll look at and ask the questions of what are boundaries for? What can we do with it so that we can grow and heal and amplify our love? Can we challenge and redefine boundaries? What do they look like? And what's on the other side? What would be on the other side? What can be? What's possible on the other side of this wall? And we'll talk about the illusion of separation, unity, the interconnectedness between all human beings. And then this whole topic today is inspired by a chapter, or actually perhaps a book, a mini book of a series of books that I am planning and are writing right now. So you guys are here, a part of my journey right now, of the creation of something that has been a passion project that I've been holding off for a very long time. So I am now writing this book, and let's see what else surfaces that I would need to insert into this book. All right, so we start this section and this chapter started from one of our past calls that was on boundaries. Somebody asked me about boundaries, and then we created this analogy with the breathing expandable balls. You know, the little slinky ball. I found out they're actually called expandable breathing balls, and people use them in yoga and in meditation. I thought it was a kid's toy, but I guess it's both. So that served, the breathing ball served as an analogy to help us understand and look at boundaries a little bit, right? So the ball itself is a metaphor for our spiritual journey. The ball itself reflects our capacity to love, to understand, and to connect. And it's also flexible. But as we learn and we learn judgments and fears, and as we take on past traumas and things happen to us, it compresses this fear and starts to limit our expansion. But what is compressing this sphere? We're going to challenge and see if they're actually real. You know, we want to take a look at it, because as we talk about, as I'm going to talk about in this book, is there is a duality. There's a dual nature to boundaries. On one end, it is, you know, and my wife mentioned this, so I wanted to at least acknowledge her in this portion of the book. No way am I no way is my intentions in this section to reinforce that boundaries, just boundaries in general, but I am acknowledging the fact that sometimes boundaries are real for all of us, or for some of us. Actually, it's for all of us. I have boundaries. Everybody's got boundaries. But where did boundaries come from in the first place? Boundaries, the origins of boundaries, I believe, or according to what ChatGPT told me when I was like, hey, ChatGPT, what is the origin of boundaries? And ChatGPT said that the origin of boundaries is the primal need for safety and security. Okay, that makes sense. So early on in human history, setting boundaries meant survival, and it was physical boundaries, right? We marked territories also to ensure safety and the survival and resources to be protected for the tribe. It was mostly physical boundaries that were set in the beginning for survival and for safety. And as the human race continued to evolve, we started to create tribes, started to have laws and regulations and things that was the right way to do. Traditions were set. Now these are more different. It's a different type of boundary now. It's kind of like a society agrees on a boundary. Okay, or we can call it like law or a way of living. So traditions were started. In no way does that tradition mean is the truth. However, think about, especially in the spiritual community, tradition is very holy. Like people take great offense if you step on boundaries of traditions. Great offense is taken. People are we're zen out, we're following spirit's guidance, but if you step on this boundary, immediately the war starts. So that's kind of like the dual nature of boundaries. Is one, it is created for our safety and security. In the beginning, it was physical, now is becoming emotional emotional boundaries more and more, as we're no longer leaving our house and having the threat of you know tigers and lions or whatever out there that's going to come and kill us. We don't need to create those physical boundaries. Now it's boundaries that we create based off of our own internal judgments and how we perceive. It's defense mechanisms now that we create to protect us from our perceived threats. And when I say perceived threats, it's like potential heartbreaks, potential of somebody judging me for how I look, what I do. Right? So these are stories that we tell ourselves about who is trustworthy and who isn't, and what is safe and what isn't. Now, yeah, it is important that we feel emotional safety too. But where does emotional safety truly lie? Emotional safety comes from when we practice forgiveness. This is what the course teaches us, is that underneath the boundaries that we've created are hurts, our pains. Somebody hurt us. Somebody betrayed our care, our thought, right? And beneath that is the opportunity for us to really heal and allow ourselves to return to a place of love. And boundaries shape our lives. We from a very early age, when we first start in our early lives, boundaries are physical and emotional safeguards. When we are first born, when we're little babies, we rely on our mothers, our fathers, our caretakers, our guardians, to give us protection, give us, they say like skin to skin makes you feel safe. Okay, warmth and care. But as we grow, as we grow, as we get older, we learn to distinguish the difference between self and others. This distinction of self and others is the birthplace of our modern day boundaries. When we first learn the distinction of self and others. And as we get older, what we do is our experiences of the world shapes these boundaries further, and then they limit us, and then we continue to reinforce it, and now we have boundaries. Okay, and when I say boundaries, you guys can insert anything else in there. Any limiting beliefs or any beliefs in general about the world and about others. You know, the acknowledgement and the praises that we receive, the heartbreaks and the hurts that we endured growing up, right? The norms, the continuous changing of the norms of our culture. It's always changed. Like, oh, one day this is acceptable. The next day, it's no longer acceptable. You know, I watched some older movies and I love that it's just so, they say whatever the hell they want. Nowadays, like, oh, don't use those words. Don't. There's a new norm to society, a new boundary that's created. Now, the intention, probably, if you look at it one way, is that we want to become more compassionate, more understanding, kinder. But then it gets weaponized. People start fighting over words. You can't use those words. Is it really about the words? Right? So on the surface level, if we start arguing and fighting over things that are on the surface level, hey, thank you. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Sunny South Florida. Welcome, welcome. So when we really dig deeper into our boundaries, we can ask, are they as concrete as they seem? Now, the course points that all of this, including boundaries, the course doesn't directly speak into boundaries, but, you know, they're really, for me, I'm going to say that I'm not going to say the course said it, but the course told me to say it. Okay, no, it didn't. I told me to say it. Boundaries are self-imposed limitations based on our past experiences. Okay, I'm going to say that. The course doesn't directly say that. But my interpretation of the course is that that's what it says. All right. Stop yelling at me. Stop arguing with me, guys. The question for us is to look at whether these boundaries, how real are they? And what happens if we started seeing beyond the boundaries? What's on the other side? What becomes available to us? What's beyond it? What's beneath it? And so when we begin to really understand the origins and the dual nature of boundaries, we can start to find the path to freedom from all the boundaries. Because the actual thought that we need to protect ourselves from something makes the threat greater and more real, even if it does not exist. So it's kind of like, what's it kind of like? It's kind of like having an umbrella, walking with an umbrella. No, a raincoat every single day because it once rained. Once upon a time, it rained. Now I'm going to leave the house every day with a raincoat on and an umbrella. So it isn't that boundaries are bad, and boots and rain boots. It's like we're going out ready for a hurricane because we once experienced a hurricane. Every day we don't trust the sun is out. The sun is out, but hey, the hurricane's coming anytime now. Anytime, anytime. And we just walk around like that all day. We go to the beach with it. We go hiking with it. What do we miss out by just wearing a raincoat and an umbrella and rain boots everywhere? We miss out on getting a tan. Wow. Good job, guys. This is exactly what I needed. Another metaphor inside this one. Yes, we miss out on vitamin D. We miss out on being able to show off our body that we've worked so hard in the gym with. We miss out on, I don't know, imagine going swimming in a swimming pool with raincoat on. So that's what we actually do with boundaries. We just go around like, oh, that person looks like the person that hurt me once before because of the way she behaves. Watch out for her. She's just like that other one. Also, I am not projecting my own inner fears right now or my own judgments. I'm just using an example. Okay. So now we get to challenge and redefine our boundaries. See, the power in being able to see boundaries as a reflection of our internal self gives us the opportunity to change, to shift it. So, really, the beauty in boundaries is the transformative power that it has for us. If we're willing to look at it the right way, if we're willing to look at boundaries as simply a mirror reflecting something inside of me. So, like I mentioned early in our opening meditation before I started the live, so sorry you guys missed out, but if you guys want to make it, come before 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, and we do a little meditation grounding before the call. It's a little prayer to ourselves and to all human beings, to all of our brothers and sisters. But just as I mentioned earlier, that projection makes perception. Our external world is simply a projection of our inner state. And if that is true, then the boundaries we recognize or have created becomes a mirror reflecting our inner state. So, what can that do for us, right? We can now use other people. We can now use the boundaries itself if we're willing to look at ourselves, like interrupt and interrupt our thinking, disrupt our thinking. It is a mirror highlighting our own internal conflicts and misunderstandings about ourselves in the world. And as we look at each boundary, every single boundary becomes a teacher and an invitation urging us to explore within ourselves deeper, to heal, to embrace, to extend, to amplify love. And that's the point of our human experience here. How do we amplify love? All right, so I'll take a moment here. I'm going to read the 11 messages and I'll give you guys a moment to share. If anybody wants to share what's coming up, what would you like to add to this conversation here or to my book that I'm writing on boundaries? If you're live, you can also share also. Thank you for being here. Vitamin D. Vitamin D, vitamin D. Not having boundaries is being without attachments. Yeah. Now it's a great concept and a great idea not to have any attachments. However, we are in a body. We are having a body experience in the physical world. We're gonna have it, but we can change our relationships to it. Right? You know, like we're never not gonna have any attachments. Let's just put that aside. It's a great idea that not having attachments gives us peace, but the chasing of not having attachments will create conflict. All right, so we can just let's just shift our relationship to things. We invite it in. Yes, show me more things I'm attached to. If we can have peace with that, then we have a chance. Because fighting against something only amplifies it. Boundaries are good too. Not all bad. They protect your energy, peace, and space. Yes. So, Brooke, like I said, I acknowledge that you have that thinking about boundaries. But what that also implies, and I'm not saying that you're wrong at all, but I'm saying what it also implies is that things outside, because I feel like I need to protect my energy, space, and peace, it means there are threats outside in the world. And so I'm actually, by saying boundaries is good for me, I'm saying that the world is a threat, that it isn't safe. And of course, we can find evidence right now. Yeah, Alex, the world ain't safe. Sure, we can believe that. But what is it that you're committed to creating? Let's look back to our, like, what if we're committed to creating more love, then that doesn't take us closer to love. Or maybe it does. I don't know. But when we point, like, yes, some people drain your energy, but they only drain your energy because you give them the power to do so. Nobody actually has the power to drain your energy. They drain our energy. It's actually our own internal judgments that drain our energy. We are judging them for being a certain way that is annoying and taking up space. Brooke, I have boundaries to protect them. Okay. Got it. So I don't punch them in the face. Yeah. But, you know, the other side about boundaries is that, you know, I've mentioned that, yeah, you may need to have them. See, when we don't genuinely believe that there are no threats, that our brothers and sisters are just another walking spirit, that there is no threat, that ultimately the threat that we are afraid of is that our body's going to get harmed. Now, the further part of the teachings of A Course in Miracles is that we are not our bodies. If your body cannot be harmed, then is there any threats? Right? Okay, go ahead, Fraser.
So yeah, I set a boundary yesterday because I was having a pretty big issue with my ex. She said some pretty hurtful stuff yesterday, and I'm having a really hard time not blowing up. I was so angry yesterday. It was so hard to focus on everything because of what she said to me, and I don't want to overshare because it's a lot.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm still struggling today because I want to resolve it, but I don't know how to resolve the issue, right? Because she has very strong feelings, and when she has these feelings, it's like talking to a brick wall. You can't communicate with her. So I actually asked her, because after a while she just kept bombarding me. I was just like, I can't do this right now. Can you please stop texting me? And she didn't listen, but I just, yeah, frustrated, very, very frustrated.
Yeah. So, in the beginning of my path in the Course in Miracles, I used to make very extreme things in my mind so that I would shift, with people. I used to get really annoyed at certain types of people and certain things. And I started to think about if this was the last day that they're going to be alive. If they only had last moments with me right now, like if I knew that they were going to die and they didn't, and they were just going off being annoying or yelling or whatever, in what way would I see them? A lot of people use this and actually to kind of slap ourselves back to reality. And our mutual friend from the conference, she was sharing how her partner, the last moments before he passed away, the last day, she saw him at his 100%. And when she meant 100% was the Christ consciousness, the divinity in him, no longer holding on to any fears and just like see it in his beauty. Not because he is doing anything, but because her mind changed about him. There was just only love. It was just pure love. It was sitting in truth together. And if we can bring our minds to that, right? And we really, like, this is it. This is the last time we will ever see each other. How would I want our conversation to go? I say that because I've had real life experience with that. We used to have my mom painted a picture of my dad in the beginning that was just not great. There was a point in my life that I had about a 7-year disconnection with my dad. And then when we got really close again, when I started on my spiritual path like very early in my life. And we started to build a good relationship. My sister and my dad, however, didn't. My sister, when she went back to where we were born in Taiwan, she actually didn't even tell him she was there. He was extremely hurt by that. But she carried all this trauma, all these beliefs about my dad, the anger, and she was actually angry at the fact that he said he would pay for her college when she got to college, and this is way before, but did not. Because he couldn't. He was barely hanging on for his own family. But because we're so focused on ourselves, we attack so hard and so harshly. And even for me, I was taking it for granted. I was starting to build a really great relationship with my dad, and I was saying, I was going to go back to visit him. I knew he was very hurt that my sister showed up and didn't even tell him and then left. Like, she saw his sisters and other family members, but not him. It was almost like a fuck you, right? Like, and it struck. I don't know how it affected the outcome of things, but I know when I was going to go see him, instead of going back the time that I said I was going to, somewhere around like May 8th, I was having a really big thing happen with I was going through a breakup also, and I was super hurt. So I was like, look, I can't come back right now. I'll come back sometime in the summer or next month something. We had already planned. We were going to build a business together. I was going to, something cool was going to show up. And literally, he sent me an email saying, okay, no problem. I will see you in the summer when you come. And that night, he passed away. I held on to that email for a while, and I always looked back at that email that same night. And now, when I go to that email, it's literally there with no words in it. There's an email from my dad on that day that had content and had words in it at one point, and now it doesn't. It's like crazy. It's probably just something to do with Google, but it's an outward manifestation of a spiritual thing that happened also. So I can use that. I leverage that now to like smack myself for taking things for granted, for thinking we're going to be here forever and people will be here forever. Sometimes I forget, but to be in a conscious and aware state is for me, it's like every person I meet, can I make the greatest impact right now? I think about it all the time, but don't think I'm putting any hex on anybody. But most of you here, I've had a thought in my mind. This is the last moment that I will have with them. What would the conversation look like? I do it a lot, with my wife too. It's kind of, I don't know if it's like dark or not, but I don't, I'll think about, okay, well, if I leave the house right now, what if we never see each other again? What will her last memories of me be? And so I try to be more loving in those moments. So I don't know if that helps you, Fraser, but it's just about a quick shift in perspective. It's to bring yourself back to a state of peace so that you can deal with the situation with peace. In that argument, that fight right there is a great opportunity for you to build a new relationship. Well, I don't know about let's spend all our money on credit cards and forget how to pay it tomorrow. But use it in a way that's going to serve you, right? You can take this story and see it whatever way you want to see, which is a section in my book called The World Through the Tinted Glasses, which is how we look at the world. Every one of us has worn a pair of sunglasses at some point, yes. And it does look different when the sunglasses are on and off, especially if you get those polarized ones and you go on a boat and you look at the ocean. It's like, what? I can see through the water. Our lenses, these are altered lenses that each of us have that is different from one another. Every one of ours is different in form because they are influenced by our beliefs, our judgments, our past experiences. And so every one of us is looking at the world through tinted glasses. Now, what we can see is, man, I got tinted glasses on. You got tinted glasses on. Great. That means we're looking at, I can see why you see it this way. Because we both have glasses on. I can be compassionate about your tinted glasses. It's not you, it's your glasses. I wouldn't say that to somebody, but I would think about it like that. Oh, yeah, this is not you. But what we do is we make it them. You are always like this. You always react like this. No, it's the glasses that they got on right now. If somebody was hurt by something, if they couldn't trust, if somebody betrayed their trust, a lens is reinforced. And that's how the world is being looked on. So now these glasses are really like boundaries. They're boundary builders. And so when we can be aware and recognize that we are wearing these tinted glasses and others are wearing these tinted glasses, awareness is step one to transformation. What are we being aware of? Right? It's a mirror again. It's a mirror reflecting back to me. This is always a self-work so that I can be a better father, so I can be a better ex, so I can be a better man, better brother, sister, son, daughter, mother, father. We always have the opportunity to be better if we can actually see the unseen connection. Or if we can believe in the unseen connection. Because on the surface, it looks like she's texting you and she's being belligerent and, mean and hurtful. But what's the thread that actually connects you as two spiritual beings trying to do the best in this physical world? That is dangerous. It's dangerous because everything we do does not work out to the way that we want it to work out. We have fairy tales about everything. And the world's like, yeah, this is a world that's always dying. Things are always being taken, stripped away. But why? What is the world trying to show us when it strips away the things that we say we care about? The Course has a perspective on it. The Course says you created things and made them valuable for you, and you gave your power to it, only to recognize how invaluable they really are. You did not need any of these things to be you. Again, I'm going to go back to our mutual friend. See, this relationship that I built in the conference is this powerful that it stays with me every day. Except I just lost my train of thought right now. Where was I? And something with the unseen connection deep inside. But okay, we'll move on. It'll come back if it's meant to be. Anybody want to share anything? Add anything to this conversation at this point? Okay. So, even with modern technology today. Oh, go ahead, Johan.
I was going to say for Fraser, can you pinpoint any moments where maybe in this interaction you've seen a development in yourself with how you're handling it? Like, just like when she's coming at you, like your reaction. How are you handling that?
Basically, I was in the middle of a call with my friend Deborah and Sharif, and so I tried not to take away from that. But now, listening to what he's saying, I think I have to look in those texts, see what the underlying thing that she's trying to say to me is, and rather than approach it with, why are you attacking me and all this, but rather see her feelings and adjust my approach, and that way I can probably try to communicate with her and say, I'm working on these things. I'm really trying hard to be a better parent, to be more present. It's not an overnight thing. I'm working really hard on myself to be a loving, kind human being, and it's something she doesn't see, and that's okay. Her beliefs are different than mine, and that's okay as well. So I think I just have to approach it in a way that, what's the word I'm looking for? Not justified. When you're accepting someone's feelings and recognizing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just have to do that, I think, instead of like I was angry. Man, was I angry. Like I went fully red, and even Deborah messaged me afterwards asking me if I was okay, because I don't tend to get that angry unless I'm backed into a corner. So it was really hard for me not to react, but I promised myself in my journey not to overreact, but to take the time to process and to come back to it.
Nice.
So I'm trying to put that practice in, because man, oh man, did I ever want to lash out and say all kinds of terrible things, but I was like, no praise, and then I put it to prayer for like a good couple of hours. While I was driving, I kept praying. I was like, please help me to be calm. Like, I was so angry, I was physically shaking because of what she said, because I wasn't accepting what her perspective was. I think that's what I have to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You first for sharing. Secondly, thanks for seeing the dots and being open to feedback. I gave advice, and I've looked at messages, and they were completely different messages. Like like disconnected for a moment, and then like actually sitting and reading back with somebody and wanting to connect. It's really the medicine in a sense, and it takes courage to look back. But yeah, just holding that for you, man, because I did that for myself. I walked that path, and it's a humbling experience. But when you really get into the core of wanting to understand and see somebody, I feel like that's the space where I've been able to be seen and step in, and that's what I think the Course in Miracles and Alex's teaching is. Just kind of getting out of your way and seeing how like just things come up, and they're all perfect however they come up, And it's just riding them. So
yeah,
I just wanted to say that, and then thanks Alex for all these weeks, everything you shared, brother. You're always holding it down, like being the hard truths, but that's where the beautiful moments come from.
Thanks for seeing that. So, Fraser, a lot of times when people are like, when they lash out at us, it's because we have broken their trust, right? They never really see us in the way that they once did, right? Once upon a time, there was admiration, there was, like excitement, there's attraction, but something that we did broke their trust. And it's very, very easy. It's very easy to break somebody's trust, because if you think about the lens, everyone is wearing some sort of lens, have some sort of boundary, right, that they've built, and they're waiting for you to step on it. Like, oh man, you could be the one. But your boundaries are so real and so big that somebody's going to run into it. No matter what, they'll run into it. And for you, it's just, how do we build that trust again? The best way that we can rebuild trust is, we create small agreements. We make small agreements, and then we honor them, and we do them. We do them like it's the last thing we do on the earth. And then we start building, and they're like, whoa, I definitely did not expect that. See, now you get to interrupt it again. If somebody loses trust or faith in you, it's just as easy to really build it back. They say it's a lot harder, but you can surprise them. You may just have to do it a couple more times, maybe 1,000 more times. But those situations just give you the opportunity to look at yourself to be better. You know, if you want to be a better father, like every single action, everything you do is going to greatly influence your daughter. The way that you react. How would you want a man to react to your daughter if she wrote those messages? Right? And then you be that. Those are the interruptions. When you put something greater at stake than your own anger and your own triggers and reactions, you can interrupt yourself. Adam's got something to add to this. Go ahead, bro.
What's up? Good morning, everybody.
What's up?
I just wanted to say thank you for these shares, and while I'm driving along, I'm intently listening. Multitasking may be possible, Alex. But what comes up for me is what the Course says about I'm never upset for the reason that I think I am. And what shows up for me, and Fraser shared, thank you, Fraser, and thank you, y'all, for openly sharing and having some dialogue there. It really warms my heart when I hear Ben, but I work with Ben mostly. And having been through, this is not advice, this is my own process, right? Having been through the process of like interactions with relationship, whether it's romantic or business or anything. And Alex, I think you brought it full circle around for me. It's like trust is broken, which means there's an attachment to something being, or even better yet, like what is this person showing me? There's pain or fear or ego being projected out, or I'm receiving. Even better yet, I'm receiving the projection of, anger, distrust, fear, frustration, whatever is being shown up in the communication. How am I perceiving it? Really, what it comes down to, when I looked within myself and actually sat with a prayer to the Course, which isn't for me to pray, help me figure this out. It's I give this to you. Page 108, page 90. I give this to you. I'm not at peace, because it's like I found myself praying to like not be angry, not upset, which is really the ego saying to itself, "Be this," or this is so, versus I have no idea why this is here. I'm not at peace. I've chosen wrongly, and I give it to you. That's been very supportive, and actually was over the weekend. So there was a conversation that I had last week with another man around what is the fear underneath the worry, and he said it to me very clearly because he follows the Course also, and it really was, I'm not upset for the reason that I think I am, number one, and number two, I forgot that I trust in the divine, I trust in God, I trust in the Holy Spirit for this exact thing that's happening, and being able to look at it through that lens of this is here to teach me something. And when you're talking about boundaries, what came enough for me kind of to bring it all into a nutshell is, any times in my past relating with this other person, such as this person or whatever, I forgot the divinity that I am, so that I actually took actions and communicated and had things happen in this relationship. Now being shown back to me of times when I wasn't connected with the Holy Spirit, when I wasn't, when I was choosing from ego. And so therefore the anger that I've actually felt in these circumstances is the fact that it's not the person, it's what they're showing me. I'm not. I just wanted to share what was all coming up for me to like lock in some different perspectives and dots through listening through the shares, and just reinforce the times when I'm actually in fear to be like, oh, I forgot, I'm not separate from, but this is reminding me that I'm choosing to be. And so I just want to say thank you and share that little nugget and see what it opens up, because it's to me like the boundaries, and I'm excited to see the book you're writing. Like the boundaries are showing me if I need them, there's a place where I forgot, and I think that I actually need them, which I think is what you were saying, Alex, right?
Yeah. So really just, thank you for that share. Every time you share, it's always profound and well thought out, well articulated. Appreciate it. There's a there's a quote in the course, as you were saying, that is that every loving thought is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. So every loving thought is true. Any other thoughts or any actions stemming from fear or anger or judgments is a cry for healing. So it is a call for love, right? There's the shortened version is everything is either love or a call for love. But everything is the call for love is that we are able to see where the fear is so that we can heal it. We can pinpoint and we can heal it for ourselves and for others. We don't have to do anything and tell them to do anything. We can simply see them differently and it heals them. Right? Because when people show up and they got their own insecurities or whatever about something, and you totally just don't even play into it, all of a sudden you release them of that anxiety of the insecurities. For some reason, I'm thinking about farting. In Peru, I had an idea of writing a book called It Begins with a Fart. If the world accepted farting, which is a natural thing, and people do it anyways, and not have judgments around it, racism would end. That was going to be my motto of the book. Discrimination would end. I don't know how we got there, but somebody said something. It's if we can remove our judgments, right? If somebody was like very, very like grew up with like boundaries around farts. I'm using farts right now. I don't know why, but it's my wife knows why. But farts, I always say this: farts when the relationship is not real until it's not really rooted until both parties have just ripped it, you know? Like there's an acceptance, like, oh, okay, I can be safe now, right? Because it needs to happen. It's a natural thing, but it's not accepted. So imagine somebody's like, holding it. I gotta fart. And they have this anxiety and insecurity around it because, it's the boundary of social norm boundary. And then they're like, and then they rip it. And you're just like, oh, cool. You laugh at it. You make it like a great thing. Oh, we clap for it. Instead of shaming, we clapped for it. We can disrupt thinking. We disrupt where once there was fear and shame and guilt. So we can heal it. We didn't have to do anything for them. We didn't have to tell them, hey, it's okay, man. It's your own stuff around farts. Right? It's your own insecurities. Like we don't need to tell them this stuff. And when I'm saying farts, you guys can insert anything else in there that you think people need fixing from. Right? It's okay to be vulnerable. I don't know. Some people, vulnerability is like farting for some people. No. Got to be tough. Can't show my vulnerable side. Can't show my fart side. Right? But then all of a sudden everyone's like, dude, it's okay. We're in a community where it's cool. And it's like, oh man, here we go. I finally I moved some energy in me that's been stuck in there, fermenting and killing me for my whole life because I was afraid to fart. I was afraid to be vulnerable. Right? You guys, this is another analogy. I probably won't put it in this book or any of these books. This is a special comic relief bonus of A Course in Miracles. Lyra's over here like, don't talk about farts. Go ahead, Fraser.
Actually, that's an interesting I mean, making that a way for children to see that certain ways, like you're saying, that everybody farts. It's a natural part of being. You got something there.
So I'll tell you something super funny, and I'll share it. I guess people will hear it here only. Oh wait, no, sorry, it's not only here only because it's recorded, so it'll be for life. My kids will find this one day. But down in Peru, we would partake in ayahuasca ceremonies. Ayahuasca for a lot of people there are very intense moments where you're like looping inside, and it's tough, and you will purge and you'll throw up and you keep kind of looping and you get stuck on a thought. Me and my buddy, we would never have that when we were in the ayahuasca ceremonies, and it was because of farts. Anytime throughout the ceremony, we would just, because we would sit next to each other, and then like at some point we would just rip it, and as soon as we ripped it, it would interrupt the looping that was happening and cause us to laugh. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we're out of it. I'm like, and that's when I was like, dude, we need to write a book. Everything begins with a fart. A real relationship begins with a fart. You know, me and my wife, me and Love, when we did there was a transformational course. I forgot what it was called, but we were sitting, we were eye gazing, and the question we were supposed to ask each other or to share with each other was, what I'm withholding from you is, this is early on in our relationship, super early. And she shared some super like vulnerable, deep thing that like the trainings has you do. But I'm like, the one thing that I'm withholding from you is my farts. And I'm like, yeah, it's if I'm holding my fart all the time, like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can be in this relationship for that much longer. So it was a great time for me to share. Now it was funny, but it takes time. It takes you to break that like guilt and shame and stuff just to do that. And we're in this was we're early on in our relationship. So she laughed. She thought it was just funny. Until now, it's really funny. And we tell that story all the time. But anyways, so farts, right? They could be funny. See, joy and laughter and funny. That is the way back to love. That is the way back to holiness. Great. I'm glad this conversation is starting something. Go ahead, Javier. Tell me about your farts.
Thank you so much for sharing. I got disconnected because the sun got so hot here in Miami, and I'm driving to go to patient houses. Did I hear that you are writing a book? I heard professors saying that can be good for kids. Are you planning to write a book also for kids?
I will. I mean, now that it's put into the space, but I am writing my book right now on all the different analogies we've created on these calls. So there's going to be a short book on boundaries. There's going to be another book on faith, another book on, whatever other things we have in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing that you're saying that for two reasons. First one is because I want to share it later because now I have to go to the patient house that is waiting for me. But I have to say this. First, thank you so much for this meeting. So many amazing things. And now I see Tracy. It's amazing because we were talking last night about. So, related with the boundaries and the attachment, I had a realization right now that I never had when I heard you talking about that, and I have to disconnect. And it's true. It's like if you can read about it, because I don't know what happened, that the way you said it, I got an insight that I have never gotten listening to even like this super spiritual teacher that I follow in YouTube. So please keep going with the book. I encourage you to keep doing it. And also, I'm an illustrator. So I have a book that I want to start selling soon.
and I do illustrations that can be very fancy and colorful. So I would love to do it for you just because so much value you are adding to my life, and you and your team and these guys that we are meeting here. You can count on me for the illustrations, okay? Maybe you don't like them, probably that's totally right. But if you happen to like what I do, you can count on me, okay?
Okay, great. Now that it's set in, now that it's been brought into intention on this call, I believe it gets to happen. So we'll work on something together. Yeah, but appreciate what you're saying and what you shared, and also appreciate you being here, receiving, hearing it. You know, in order for a giver, well, no, I'm not even going to go there. But the power of receiving gives the giver some sense of love and uh, you know acknowledgement also just by receiving. So thank you, Frazier. Go ahead, bro.
I just wanted to say that being able to listen to everyone and to yourself, it's taken a lot of the anger and frustration away. Like, I feel like just a lot clearer, and it's one of the things I love about these meetings. It's constantly helping me to stay on track with my spirituality and the love in my heart that I'm more capable of giving. So thank you so much for this.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for being here. Every call that you've been on, you've been a great contribution. Your presence and being trusting and coming into my circle and all the things that I do. I see you, and I'm glad our paths are crossing right now. So let's see, we have 17 minutes. Okay. Just to kind of bring now towards the end of what I've written for my book so far. We're it's about embracing this new world with open arms, right? Once we see what's beyond the other side of the fence or the boundary that we built, what's on the other side? And that's going to require us to have some faith, have some courage, right? To try out some new things, to take off our raincoat and experience the sun, experience that vitamin D. So, embracing the new world, embracing the sun. And so kind of going full circle back to our breathing ball analogy, right? This breathing ball itself, when pressure is applied to one point from the inside, the entire ball expands. The breathing ball. You move one point, the whole ball expands and it goes out together. So just like how spirit works in this way, when we forgive one individual, when we remove one boundary, one piece of the brick or the wall, it's not just that one relationship that's experiencing the healing. This one reminder and this one act of love and forgiveness kind of shocks us through our whole being, touching every relationship and every interaction. And it shows us that as this thing expands, wow, I am interconnected with all things. That how one thing happens can heal something else. The entire ball, all the different points. The entire wall is being moved outwards. Now I see more of the world. And so that was the initial analogy that we created, and I've been able to capture it and now put it into writing. So I'm extremely grateful for that. And so, on the contrary, on the other side, it's that fear and guilt that is pushing the boundaries back down. And if we experience it in one place, it pushes in, all the walls close in. So sometimes we say, hey, it's just this person I have judgment on. It's not just this person. It reverberates all the way through to every relationship and every interaction you will have. So never is anything just having, it's never just one thing that happens. There is every single thing affects all things. I'm kind of grasping something, or something is coming to me for the conclusion of this book. Any thoughts? What are the thoughts you guys got? All right. So, in conclusion, for my book, love, according to A Course in Miracles, is the ultimate truth. Everything else is opportunities, is mirrors that is crying for healing. Only loving thoughts should be brought from the past. And when we remember to do that, we can look on and look at our lives just a little bit differently and shed and give ourselves the time to enjoy the sun, the vitamin D. It's okay once in a while to try taking off the raincoat, to put the barrier down so that you can enjoy something different. You can allow a different outcome to show up. You know, it doesn't always have to end with anger and separation. Put down the boundaries to Okay, let's see. We will now see what Marianne has to say about all of this. All right, perfect. Of course. What's up? So, on day 66 of a year of miracles, let others think with mercy towards me, and may I think with mercy towards them. How often I'm reminded of God's mercy towards me, as over and over I have made mistakes and been allowed to begin again. Surely God's mercy is woven into the nature of the universe. May I show mercy to others as God has shown mercy towards me. May I not withhold my gracious allowance for the mistakes of the mortal self. Rather, may others feel from me the charity and compassion of one who understands. Dear God, may I not withhold blank from others the mercy you have shown to me. May I not remind others of their mistakes, but rather be a space where people feel free to begin again. Amen. Wow, what a perfect lesson for what we were just talking about. Seriously, she just knows when to come in with the right things, you know? Literally, multiple times in here, using may I not withhold blank. So, you know, just be aware and be conscious today of where you're withholding your love. You know, where you're not allowing others to be free to begin again? Or are you holding people prisoners? And in turn, really just holding yourself prisoner. And, this doesn't just impact like this call right here. It impacts all areas of your life. Everything is moving together in one with you, for you. So like this slinky ball, you can either move through life having it very enclosed around you and going down the path, going down the tunnel, down the road, or you can open it up so you can enjoy and see more as you're traveling. The capacity to love, the capacity to hold the space for other people, to, it's like having a bigger van so more people can like be on the ride with you. Or you can just drive in your little Mini Cooper by yourself. Or we get a bus. It's funner with more people. Okay. Any last thoughts before we kind of conclude this, even though we still have 8 minutes? What will you guys take away from this call? What will you do differently today and moving forward? I'll make one last distinction before we come off. In the course, it makes a distinction of magic versus miracles. So the quote goes, miracles are natural expressions of love, while magic, as described in the course, pertains to the transient solution of the material world. Miracle transcends this realm. They are born from pure love and manifest as profound shifts in perception, healing, and understanding. Miracles don't need to be grand. They are simple yet transformative moments that arise when we choose love over fear, unity over separation. So miracles are not fancy, flashy, sexy. Miracles are just little things that move the meter. And when we stack on little things, when every day is devoted to miracles, which is just the love that is behind the shift in perception of healing and understanding, of unity, of love. Okay, every time that we are in fear, we are participating in the illusion of separation. So miracles heal and remind us. Miracles are a reminder of the illusion of separation. Magic, on the other hand, are these boundaries, are the things that we create to temporarily give us powers or solutions, right? So we can go as far as even saying, when people have cancer, they go and get radiation, right? That is magic. We're giving the world temporary healing device to heal something that we are not, to heal a body that is basically dying anyways and being shed. So yes, in this moment, because we are our bodies, we were protecting our bodies, we will give magical things, magical beliefs over to the things of this world. And that is kind of the placebo effect, right? Like when we believe something to be, it bees. And so the distinction of magic and miracles, we begin to recognize that the magic itself is the barrier or the boundaries that were created. The miracles is to recognize that they don't technically need to exist, because there is no threats. If I am one with all my brothers and sisters, if there's no separation, if there's no sense of self and others, there is no need for boundaries to anything. And that's where we are, our intention is to bring our mind over there, to remember in those moments that there are no threats. But they are fleeting. We do forget all the time, and it's okay. Each time, the purpose, this is a good one. The purpose of forgetting is, Natalia, what's the second part of that statement? The purpose of forgetting is to?
Remember.
Well, yeah. It's to strengthen our remembering. The purpose of forgetting is to strengthen our remembering. So, yeah, that's a beautiful line. Thank you for that reminder, whoever reminded me. Okay. That's it, right? Anybody else? Last thoughts. Forever hold your peace till Sunday or tomorrow. All right, then. Much blessings to everybody. What was that?
Thank you for an amazing call.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy Wednesday, Miracle Wednesday. See you all later. Oops.